Queen of My Chambers by our incredible Tobiloba. All right, straight in now. We've talked about cultural, we've talked about, psychological angles, right, when it comes to shame. Now let's go straight into body positivity and social media. Given that's the norm now, I mean, if you're not on social media, okay. But you get it.
Are you shaming them?
I'm not shaming you, but you don't know what's going on. Okay. So how do you think social media has shaped the way we actually see our bodies, right? Our body, the way we see things. I mean, there's that part of, just like I said, if you're not on social media, you're missing out. I mean, just give me what you think about social media. Do you even think it's helping out? Do you think it's doing more harm than good? I mean.
No, definitely it has its advantages. There's no doubt. We met on social media.
Right.
And we're here. So that's a classic example. Do I think it influences body positivity or body image?
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. But I don't think it's social media itself.
Okay, so what's the problem?
The problem with social media is it just amplifies humanity. Maybe we're just vain. Because if we were cerebral, social media would amplify that.
I agree.
Maybe we are just being vain for decades and we're all pretending and hypocritical about it. And then social media came to show us that that's really who we are and maybe we need to face it. Maybe that's the real question. Because if we were very cerebral and, more, grounded in our sense of self-worth, maybe the content on social media would change. But of course, that's very, very wishful thinking because humanity is full of different types of people with different journey. So I agree with you. I think it does have, significant impact. But I also, when it comes to body image, this is how I think of it. When people talk about body image issues, the first thing we think of is things related to eating disorders, right? So anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating, and issues like that. Because that's really bad.
Right.
That's something that has hit a threshold that requires clinical intervention. But in a way, I feel like that's more, as bad as it is, it's more not easier to deal with. People are more willing to deal with that. Because if you get to a point where it's affecting your functioning, of course you will get help. You see, the one that bothers me is subclinical traits. And you would not know how much. So there's this thing I do, it's called Letters Detour. You would be, and we go around, so we talk about these issues. I do my music, I do my art, and then I discuss that with the audience, and then I engage them, right? You would be shocked that some people have not even looked in a mirror in years. It sounds fictional, but it's true. Not because they don't have a mirror, but because they don't have, if you ask them to stand in front of a mirror for 5 minutes, it's like, what? Or even, 5 minutes is too much. 1 minute, what am I doing? Why would I stare at myself?
Wow.
It's yourself. And it begs the question of, if I am not comfortable in the very body that houses me, that helps me function, that helps me be human, I don't love that body. How can I extend love to you as a neighbor?
Right.
Because I don't like myself. And you'll be shocked as to how many people don't actually like how they look, right? And I know we say social media, but I think that it's more than that. I think all of this started from capitalism and what the kind of beauty standards that we set
for ourselves.
I don't think it's fair that only a particular body type is represented as beautiful. Whether it's face, whether it's height, whether it's body shape, whatever. I think I know the industry is doing more in terms of that now, in terms of inclusivity.
Yeah.
But I don't even think it should be inclusive. Inclusive means that, this is the standard and we are including things.
Right.
They should scatter it. Because it's not real. It's not even, nothing should be included to anything. So there should be variety of representation, not including.
Right.
It should be a case of we were wrong. And we scrap that and we reapproach it afresh. And the way we, in my opinion, this is my opinion, strictly my opinion.
Tell me.
The way we approach it is that we, as many body samples, pattern that we can get, we must involve, because these things shape us. It shapes us. Babies don't know they are beautiful or they are ugly.
Yeah.
We teach them. We teach them. So before we even get to social media, which I have already said is not really the problem, it's we.
We, yeah.
So let's leave social media. Let's leave the tool. That's only amplifying the things that we have. Right? Like, so first, let's also, maybe I'm getting a bit too, I might be a bit too cerebral. Let's understand first how the body forms. Everybody you have is a genetic lottery. You have absolutely no control over it. Right. You can have 5 kids, and 4 of them are not conventionally beautiful as at 2025. I said that because conventional beauty changes with time. And one of them is the damsel, according to conventional beauty. Or what's the opposite of damsel? You should know. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is one of them is leaning more towards what we'll call conventional beauty. It was a lottery. How can you allow something so fickle, something so that has no input, for the person that owns it, define the standard, define the essence of a person's existence? Are you joking? Why? It's unfair, actually. It's not just wrong, it's actually unfair. What did I do for my hand to be longer, my right hand to be longer than my left? I didn't do anything. And why would you define my entire life like that? What did I do to that you can eat 2 slices of bread? I mean, 2 loaves of bread, and you will just go to the toilet and be okay, and nothing is, you don't change. And I just take 1 slice of bread. The entire neighborhood knows that I dabbled into what's it called? Starch and into carbs. These things, they are very fickle. Like, it's very superficial, and you don't have control over it. So in my opinion, that's how we should approach this. We should remind ourselves first that it is what it is. This body I have is all I have. The best I can do is the best I can do with it. If you don't like it, that's fine. But you're not going to shame me and determine. That's why I said don't let your insecurity tie you to a spot. Don't let whatever industry determine what you're worth. Your worth is bigger. And then I said, you know, Alima, Fatima, Keduko, the Odima, pen to paper, they lyrically articulate, pick of your beauty, no be figure 8. Your figure 8, please, your figure 8 does not determine you. I mean, we'll come to that probably. Because where there is a demand, where there is a supply is because there is demand.
Yes.
So we should stop defining people by these things, in my opinion. I think I've said enough.
Yes, you have. But then there's this question that's been ringing in my head. And not because I want to intentionally ask it. It's because I think it's something that's really going on, right?
Tell me. Yeah.
So I know you said few things about, you know, what you should put your opinion on. Have you invested love into this person that you want to start adding?
Oh, that.
Now, yeah. But since we're on body positivity, right? You know, there's this thing about be having a conversation and you're like, oh, you're actually fat, though. Now, I have a thing about, I mean, I've said this so many times, and I feel like it's actually not a bad thing, right? Where I actually tell people that they should just accept who they are, like be okay, you know, in your skin. If you're fat, accept it. In the sense that when somebody says you're fat, I don't see a reason why you should be angry. That's the angle I'm coming from. So it might be a bit dicey, but I feel like when you're able to accept your person, accept that, yes, I'm chubby. If somebody is telling me that, I don't see why I should be pissed at you, because honestly speaking, I am chubby. Even though I feel like it is not a person's business, but I don't think I should be angry.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I flat out truth.
Tell me.
I think you might be missing out on certain nuances.
Okay, tell me.
What if today I woke up and I remember that I'm fat and I've been trying to work on this thing. And I was so down about it that I almost didn't want to leave my bed.
Okay.
And then I find all the last strength in me. I get up and I show up. And the first thing someone says to me is, you're fat.
Okay, from that angle, I get it. But
and that's just one example. There are myriads of circumstances that can justify people feeling uncomfortable with that. That's on one side. I'm not even going to defend that. My question is, why must you tell people they are fat?
Fat.
What's your business with that?
again, you know, conversation bring conversation. Let me bring it to Nigerian context. All right, we might be having a I'm not trying to even fight for whoever, but I'm just saying that there are things like that can also happen.
I think there are things we shouldn't say. I think there are things we shouldn't touch. I think there are things that are private. You say conversation gets to conversation. So are you saying there are no limits to conversation?
Well, they are.
Okay, so I'm saying that the limits that exist should include these kinds of things. Yeah, because
I love that.
Because you think someone who's fat doesn't know, and that's one angle. Like people are dealing with a lot. What do you want him or her to do? That's not like, there are other things you can encourage them with. And even if you have to say it, if you had a dream that if you don't tell them the next day they will die, well, you don't have to say it verbally.
Right.
There are many ways you can do it. And then you can ask this, do the litmus test I said. Have I invested enough love to drop this criticism? And do they not know it? I mean, isn't the purpose of communication introduction of information? So if they already have the information, then why am I?
It can also be like a reminder. I'm just saying.
Are you their PA? Who sent you? You know, in typical Nigerian, we're like, who sent you? Who asked you to do that? That's number one. Number two, I also think it's very unfair. We always have this conversation only about fat people.
People that are short.
No, I'm saying that already is unfair.
Right.
Because you can say that you feel like you are justified to say someone is fat to someone who is fat because you think they can do something about their fatness. But you are still shaming them for their body.
Right.
Yeah, because you are missing out on the details of the fact that some people have genetic tendencies towards these things.
Yes.
And it's a struggle.
Yes.
They did not do anything about that. So if you can tell a fat person that they are fat, you should be able to tell a short person they are short. You should be able to tell what other things don't people have control over. You should be able to tell a blonde lady that she's blonde and mean it as an insult. Why does that hit differently? Because blonde is beautiful. No, it's not. Nothing is beautiful except we say it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't come fundamentally. Blonde did not come from, blonde babies don't show up with a tag on their head say, according to the divine rule, this one is beautiful and this one is not. So if you cannot say that to other types of genetic expressions, why do you feel okay to say that to a fat person?
Right.
Because you think it's dietary, it's lifestyle.
It's food.
Okay, but it's not only going that way. Anyway,
yeah.
I think I've said enough on that.
Yes,
too.
yes. All right, since we're on social media, right, we're talking about social media. Let's talk about cancel culture. We've seen it, even though it's not very active here in Nigeria, but I mean, diaspora is actually more active there, right? What do you think about it? Do you think it's something that has to do with accountability, or do you think it's just a form of shaming?
I think cancel culture only exists because people have power. And that's why I'm very happy for the kind of developments that we are having these days.
Right.
So with technology, there's increasing levels of democratization of power.
Right.
Before we got anything cogent in terms of information, we needed to listen to the press and to the journalists. Now everybody with their smartphone is a potential journalist. If you walk into an incident, you can record and report. You know, like before you say, what do you do? I'm a reporter.
Yeah.
Like it's a job.
Yes.
It's still a job. I'm not saying it's not. And this is no disrespect to journalists.
Yeah.
I'm saying that now that industry is fantastic, is respectful because they are the ones that we fact check all of these pseudo reporters against.
Yeah.
You know? So there's that place, you know, and I respect that. But I'm saying that we didn't even have any power for this at all. The same thing with photography. Before you could take a photo, you had to wait for the particular photographer to help you capture a moment. Now we all have it. And that's one of the advantages of technology. You see where I'm coming from?
Yes, I do.
So I think that cancel culture does it really come from the masses though? Or does it come from the elite?
That's another point. That's a lot. To be where you're taking us to, eh?
Like, I always tell my truth. You pushed me there. But does it come from the masses? Do people really say we don't want this person?
Right.
Because I think if you have something to offer, people will listen.
I agree.
The problem is that how do they get it? It's the channels that are being blocked. And so that's what I think about the execution of cancel culture. And that's a question, it's a food for thought for all of us. Right? It's also a food for thought for people who have a sense of, fear around that. If you really believe what you have is powerful, thank God for technology. You can always find a way, right? And I'm not saying that, please don't come for my career. I'm not saying that if someone is, cancelled, they'll find their way out. I'm just saying that that's something to think about. Now, the other thing is, why do we cancel people? It ties back to what I say. So we cannot answer why we cancel people until we answer who is cancelling.
Right.
Because we act as if cancel culture is the masses. Like we all decided to cancel this person. Right. Did we really? Where did we have the meeting?
To be honest though, I agree.
Where did we have the meeting? So we really need to know why people are cancelled. Sometimes things don't appear as the same. People might not be cancelled for the reasons we think they are cancelled.
Right. Now, before we go on a short break, still on social media. Now, recently, right, there's this trend of if something is happening, everybody wants to throw their point. Not to call names, but if we have a musician, for example, drop a song, right? Just as we have big persons drop their songs yesterday, albums and all that. Immediately, you're seeing 1,001 person saying, this song is not good. This song, let me not even go too far. There's this movie that came out, during the week, right? And somehow everybody watched it. And before you know, we had an issue. Oh, we're not supposed to put this actor there. Who casted these people? This, that. What do you think about things like that? And I feel like, some people will say it's a style of, bullying the producers and whatnot. I don't know, but what do you think about this?
Oh, I see what you mean. So you mean openly
criticizing
people's effort.
Some people call it constructive criticism. In their words.
I don't think any form of shaming is constructive.
Right.
And that's my take on that. I don't think any form of shaming is constructive. I think once shame is involved, it's not constructive. So it doesn't matter who's being shamed. If you're being shaming, if you're shaming people for their work, if you really care that much.
Right. If
you really, really care that much, does it have to be public? Why can't you leave a DM?
Their defense would be probably they might not check their DM. We're talking about big stars here. So the best way is to come on social media, say, then thanks to blogs, they'll just carry
it. You see, one of the things I talk about in some of my work that is coming out in a bit from now is how we dehumanify people and we conceptify people. You see how you say they are big stars?
Right.
Now that's what they are. But who are they? We forget who they are because of what we have made them.
Right.
Big star are still human being. He's still a human being.
True.
And empathy, everyone is deserving of empathy. It's hard to make anything. It's hard, especially if you're trying to do it correctly without compromising on certain things. And you don't have leverage. It's very hard. You really have to have a level of, as if you're possessed, a level of possession to follow through. When people do stuff, they get better at it. Let them. And so my response to that is, go and do something with your life. Leave people who are doing something with their life alone.
I like that.
If you are that busy, you won't sit down in someone's comment section.
I call this shades on shades. If you get it,
it's not shade.
It's what? It's truth. Okay.
It's truth.
It's truth.
It's my truth.
Your truth. Yes.
Yeah.
I like it, right? And I just thank God that, of course we have people watching us right now. So I like the fact that they hear these things because these are, they say the truth is bitter, so it is what it is. Of course, some people will beg to differ, but I like the fact that.
Can I add something?
Tell me.
I know people will also come from the angle of the fact that if you are in a particular line of work, there are certain occupational hazards that come with it.
Right.
Which includes being in the spotlight, right? And it's true, right? But I feel like the only place where we don't have protection for these occupational hazards is in jobs like this. As a medical doctor, there are occupational hazards, but there are systems, protective systems for me against that, right? Many. As a psychiatrist, most times my chair is by my door because of the kind of people that I see. All of that is part of my training. Because anything could go wrong, we do defense training, right? We do how to protect yourself. You have to learn it because you don't know. All of these things is factored into the career. Now, what are the protective system in place for people who are celebs?
Right.
And aside that, in other professions, we hold service users accountable. Even though I'm a doctor and I'm looking to help you, you can't come in and disrespect me the hospital will not allow it.
Right.
A lawyer, if you go in and you are being disrespectful in the court, they'll call you out. Right?
Yes.
Right? They would ask you, the
Contempt
judge
of
would do his
court,
order.
yes.
Right? So who does that for celebrities? Who says to the audience, order? That doesn't exist. So this is the only way we can do that, by educating people to be a bit more empathetic towards people who are in the spotlight. It's not easy.
I love it. I love it. I don't think I've heard anybody. I mean, that's why it's Tobiloba. You guys get it, Abby. Coming next is Ifemi, and trust me, you don't want to miss this. We'll go on a short break and we'll come back shortly. Stay with us.